Due to the creation of super teams, the 21st century offered plenty of legendary NBA duos. These superstar duos connected on some of the best alley-oops of all time, made legendary plays, and created iconic moments. Some of them didn't like each other, and some even broke each other's records.
14 threes in a game!
But together, they won scoring titles, MVPs, and championships, with some of the greatest sound bites in NBA history. These are the 15 best duos in the last 25 years. In 2005, he was the league MVP and one of the 5 best passers the NBA has ever seen. His running mate was an athletic freak of nature, capable of throwing dunks over centers like they were kindergarten kids. Together, they played in the most revolutionary offensive system of their era, called 7 seconds or less. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire formed the best pick-and-roll partnership in the NBA, and arguably the best ever, apart from John Stockton and Karl Malone. During the 6 seasons they played together, Stoudemire made 4 All-NBA teams, averaging 23 points per game, while Nash made 5 All-NBA teams, won 2 MVPs, and led the league in assists 4 times. The Suns were either first or second in offensive rating in each of those 6 seasons, but unfortunately for them, injuries and bad luck kept them from making the finals, despite making 3 conference finals. Still, due to Nash's cerebral vision and passing wizardry, paired with Stoudemire's athletic dominance, they formed one of the most entertaining duos in NBA history. Honorable mention goes to another world-class point guard who was paired with a young, uber-athletic forward. And just like Nash and Amari, they connected on a plethora of alley-oop dunks. And they had a cool nickname for their team, Lob City. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin were a carbon copy of Nash and Stoudemire in terms of their style of play, extremely similar numbers, individual and team accomplishments. CP3 made 5 All-NBA teams during that span and led the league in total assists, while Griffin made 4 All-NBA teams, including the Rookie of the Year award, and the infamous dunk contest, when he jumped over a car. Paul averaged 19 points and 10 assists per game during the Lob City era, while Griffin averaged 21.5 points and 9.5 rebounds, with plenty of posterizing dunks that are still remembered today. However, just like their Suns' predecessors, Chris and Blake never made it to the NBA Finals due to injuries, bad luck, and poor coaching. But unlike the previous duos, the next guard-big man pairing spent fewer years together. They didn't connect on so many lob dunks, but they did something far more important. They won a ring together. In 2004, when Shaquille O'Neal got traded to Miami, he vowed to bring a championship to South Beach. But what he probably didn't know was how insanely good Dwayne Wade would become, and that he'd be the one leading them to the title. In their first season together, Shaq was still in his prime, finishing second to Steve Nash in MVP voting, while Wade made second-team All-NBA, as the Heat were 1 game away from making the NBA Finals. In 2006, Shaq averaged 20 points for the last time in his career, while Wade became the team leader with 27 points per game. However, what Wade did in the playoffs was heroic, and one of the best performances of all time as he led the Heat past the Mavericks to win the championship and the Finals MVP, averaging 34.7 points per game. Then in 2007, Wade's dominance continued, while Shaq's performance started to decrease and the team got swept in the first round of the playoffs. The following season, Shaq nearly got into a fight with Coach Pat Riley, and his partnership with Wade ended after only 3.5 seasons. Still, during that time, both players made All-Star and All-NBA teams. They averaged 47 points per game combined and made history by winning Miami's first championship. But while Shaq and D-Wade scored over 50,000 points in the NBA, this next legendary duo is pushing for 60,000. Kevin Durant got drafted by the Supersonics in 2007, and Seattle picked Russell Westbrook the following year, in the last move before they moved to Oklahoma and became the Thunder. Over the next 8 seasons, this dynamic duo averaged 50 points per game combined, with 5 scoring titles and 11 All-NBA selections between them. KD also won the MVP in 2014, along with a 50-40-90 season in 2013. Durant and Westbrook were offensive juggernauts. And after they lost to LeBron in the 2012 NBA Finals, they were supposed to become a dynasty. But then, due to fear of getting into the luxury tax, OKC traded James Harden, which was one of the worst trades in NBA history. A few injury-riddled seasons, poor coaching, and Klay Thompson's heroics in Game 6 kept him from reaching the finals again, until KD decided it was time for a next chapter in his career, ending the partnership with Russ after 8 seasons. However, what Russ and KD failed to do together in 8 years, this next duo accomplished in only 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got traded to OKC in 2019, and Jalen Williams joined him 3 years later, as both were part of a trade that sent Paul George to the Clippers. Everyone in the world believed the Clippers would become a dynasty, but instead, the real dynasty was brewing in OKC, largely thanks to the gazillion picks they accumulated over the years. In 2023, Jalen Williams finished second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Paolo Banchero, while SGA averaged 31.4 points per game and made first-team All-NBA. In their second season together, the Thunder had the best backcourt in the league, with Jalen averaging 19 points per game on elite shooting percentages, while Shea averaged 30 points and finished second in MVP voting behind Nikola Jokic. And then in 2024, the Thunder's duo improved again, combining for 53 points and 11 assists per game, with Shea winning the MVP award while Jalen made the third All-NBA team and second All-Defensive team. But what was even more important was that they led OKC to their first championship, with SGA crowning a perfect season as the Finals MVP. As Williams keeps improving and Shea keeps averaging over 30 points per game, the Thunder's duo will likely rank even higher in the future, especially if they manage to win more rings together. And just like Shea and Jalen, this next duo won a championship together, but their time together will be considered somewhat disappointing in some people's eyes, due to the enormous expectations that come with LeBron James. When Anthony Davis joined the Lakers for the 2020 season, he transformed LA from a fringe playoff team to a title contender. And before the pandemic hit, the Lakers were the best team in the league. During the bubble, LeBron and AD continued their dominance, leading the Lakers to their 17th title in franchise history, with James claiming his 4th Finals MVP. In the 2020 playoffs, the duo combined for 55 points on 57% shooting, along with 20 rebounds and 12 assists per game. Davis was also the best defender in the league, and when you combine their all-around skills, stats, and efficiency, Bron and AD had one of the best playoff runs by a duo of all time. And even though the rest of their time together had more lows than highs, with only one conference finals appearance in the next 4 seasons, LeBron and AD's era with the Lakers can't be deemed unsuccessful. During their 5.5 years together, the King and the Brow averaged 51 points combined. They made 8 All-NBA teams, and they did the most important thing, winning the championship. But while LeBron and AD's partnership was considered underwhelming, this next duo is arguably the most underrated, even though it features one of the most physically dominant players ever, and a guy who consistently delivered big games when it mattered most. In 2013, the Milwaukee Bucks drafted Giannis Antetokounmpo and traded for Chris Middleton. And at the time, nobody could have predicted that they would turn into the best duo in franchise history since Kareem and Oscar Robertson. Giannis and Chris played together for 11.5 seasons. They made the All-Star team 12 times combined, along with 2 MVPs and a Defensive Player of the Year award for Giannis. Between 2017 and 2024, their combined average was 47 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists, which puts them in the upper echelon of the most productive duos ever. But the crown jewel of their partnership came in 2021, when they led Milwaukee to the 2nd title in franchise history, combining for 54 points during the playoffs, filled with clutch shots and all-around greatness on both ends of the floor. And similar to the Bucks duo, these next 2 players are also slightly underrated, even though they made the finals twice and won the championship in 2024. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were successful out of the gate, making the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018 their first season together, when Tatum was a rookie and Brown was an NBA sophomore. But as the years went on, frustration and playoff losses accumulated, culminating in the 2022 Finals loss to the Warriors. Many analysts and former players believe that Tatum and Brown couldn't coexist and that they're too similar. Brown was criticized for a lack of handle, especially with his left hand, while Tatum got a bad rep for hoisting too many jumpers and not being aggressive enough. However, in 2024, all that was forgotten, as the 2Js led the Celtics to their first championship since 2008, averaging a combined 49 points during the playoffs. With a joint 10 All-Star appearances, 5 All-NBA teams, 2 finals, and 1 championship, Brown and Tatum etched their names in Boston's rich sports history. But there's another legendary duo with deep ties to Boston, since they played against the Celtics in 2 NBA finals. Pau Gasol joined Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in 2008, in what was considered one of the most lopsided trades of all time. With the Spanish big man on board, the Lakers transformed from a fringe playoff team to a title contender, and they proved the expectations by making the finals. But that's as far as they could go, as the Celtics had too much firepower, defeating LA in 6 games to clinch the title. But then Kobe started working on Pau. Gasol played the most aggressive ball of his career, and his connection with Kobe was almost telepathic. When they actually did talk, they would do it in Spanish, so that opponents couldn't understand him. In 2009, Kobe matured into his best version, and with Pau by his side, the Lakers dominated on their way to the championship, defeating Orlando in the finals. The next year, Bryant was dealing with injuries, and the Celtics fought tooth and nail to win another finals against their arch nemesis. But then, with the last atom of strength, Kobe and Pau delivered in the clutch, and the Lakers celebrated another title. Bryant and Gasol spent 7 years together as teammates, during which they made 9 All-NBA teams, along with Kobe's MVP award. Because of their chemistry on the court, 3 finals and 2 rings, Pau was just what Kobe needed in order to make one of the most legendary quotes in NBA history.
Got one more to Shaq.
And by the time Gasol left the Lakers, arguably the greatest player of all time made a triumphant return home. When LeBron left the Cavs, they were in shambles. And Cleveland went from 61 wins with LeBron in 2010 to only 19 without him in 2011. But the second worst record in the league gave them the opportunity to draft first overall, and they used the #1 pick on Kyrie Irving, the greatest ball handler in NBA history. When LeBron returned to Cleveland in 2014, he immediately transformed them into a perennial title contender. And in Kyrie, he had the perfect running mate. Even though they only spent 3 seasons as teammates, their partnership became legendary, with 3 consecutive trips to the NBA Finals, each time facing the Golden State Warriors. And despite a negative record in the finals, the Cavs' improbable victory in 2016 after falling down 3-1 might be the best NBA Finals of all time, highlighted by LeBron's block on Iguodala and Kyrie's shot over Steph Curry. In those 3 playoff runs, Kyrie and LeBron combined for 54 points and 13 assists per game, meaning they directly contributed to roughly 80 points per game, which makes them one of the most productive duos of all time. And even though they made fewer finals appearances than James and Irving, this next duo is fairly similar because it consists of one of the 5 smartest players in NBA history and a high-scoring point guard who becomes unstoppable once he gets hot. Nikola Jokic joined the Nuggets in 2015 after he was famously drafted in the second round of the 2014 draft during a Taco Bell commercial. In 2016, the Nuggets drafted Jamal Murray, and nobody could have predicted that the pudgy Serbian big man and the Canadian point guard would become one of the best duos of all time. From 2018, Murray's sophomore season, until today, Jamal has averaged 20 points and 5.3 assists per game, while Jokic nearly averages a triple-double in that span, with 24.3 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 8.6 assists. But Murray and Jokic are among those players whose numbers consistently rise in the playoffs, and throughout their playoff careers, the Nuggets stars combined for 51 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists, with elite shooting percentages. The highlight of their careers happened in 2023, when they led Denver to the first championship in franchise history, during which both players combined for 56 points and 17 assists per game, while shooting close to 50-40-90 for the entire playoff run. Now, the 2026 season marks the 10th year that Jokic and Murray have been playing together. They are currently the best duo in the NBA, and if they remain in Denver for their entire career, they could become one of the best duos of all time. But this next superstar duo is somewhat underrated, mainly because their success came as part of a Big Three, and later even a Big Four. When Kevin Garnett became a teammate to his good friend Paul Pierce, he did so alongside Ray Allen, with the 3 players making 22 All-Star teams before they joined forces in Boston. Because Allen left early and was slightly less dominant than the other 2 superstars, the duo of KG and the Truth deserves to be celebrated separately. The 6 years they spent together in Boston were the highlight of Garnett and Pierce's career, with the pinnacle being the 2008 title against Kobe and the Lakers. With the legendary wheelchair game and Finals MVP, Pierce solidified his name as one of the best small forwards of all time, while Kevin Garnett once again proved his tenacity with phenomenal defense and with one of the greatest screams of all time. KG also won the Defensive Player of the Year in 2008, along with 4 All-Defensive teams and 5 All-Star appearances during his Celtics years, while Pierce had 5 All-Star bids and made 2 All-NBA teams alongside Garnett. Even though they were already past the age of 30 when they started playing together, with 2 NBA Finals, 1 championship, all-around versatility, and plenty of clutch shots, the Ticket and the Truth were a force to be reckoned with, and a big reason why this next duo decided to team up. LeBron James had legendary battles with Paul Pierce and the Celtics, but after the Cavs failed to make the finals in 3 consecutive seasons, it was time for the King to take his talents to South Beach. Dwayne Wade tasted championship glory in 2006. But after Shaq left, Miami was mediocre. Still, when he linked up with LeBron and Chris Bosh, the Heatles became instant contenders and the new NBA villains. In their 4 seasons together, Miami reached the finals each time, winning 2 titles and 2 finals MVPs for LeBron. The King also won 2 regular season MVPs and made all defensive teams in all 4 seasons, during an era where he was the most versatile defender in NBA history. Wade made 3 All-NBA and 4 All-Star appearances during his time with LeBron, and together, they averaged 50 points and 13 assists per game. Even though their Heat career only lasted 4 years, LeBron and Wade won 70% of their games and created plenty of iconic moments that'll be remembered forever. However, there is one NBA duo who won an even higher percentage of games, which is remarkable considering they played together for 15 years. And when Tony Parker first joined the San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan had no idea who he was. In fact, Timmy didn't even like him that much, and barely spoke to the French point guard. But to be fair, Timmy rarely spoke anyway.
Timmy didn't talk to me my rookie year. Timmy don't like French people.
But their relationship improved significantly in their second season, when they won their first NBA title together. By the time Duncan retired in 2016, they had 4 championships in 5 finals appearances, with 2 finals MVPs for Duncan and 1 for Parker. Their individual statistics don't jump off the page, but with 17 All-Star and 15 All-NBA teams between them, along with 2 regular season MVPs for Duncan, the Spurs duo accomplished everything. And together with Manu Ginobili, they are the teammates with the most wins in NBA history, winning 71% of their games. Now, like Timmy and Tony, this next legendary duo won 4 championships together. And they're still playing today, albeit not on the same team. In 2013, their former coach said they were the best shooting backcourt in NBA history and got ridiculed for it. But now, we know that Mark Jackson was correct, and that the Splash Brothers are 2 of the best shooters of all time. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson made over 7,000 threes in their careers, while shooting over 40% behind the arc. And Steph holds the all-time record for free throw percentage at 91%. Together, they changed basketball thinking forever. And because of them, the game is completely different from what it was 15 or 20 years ago. Today, NBA teams are averaging 37 three-pointers per game, compared to just 18 in 2009 when Steph first got to the league. Between 2015 and 2022, the Warriors went on a legendary run, making 6 NBA Finals and winning 4 championships, including the record-breaking 2016 season, when they won 73 games. Steph and Klay hold the majority of shooting records, including the most threes in a game set by Thompson, the most points in a quarter, also by Klay, and the most threes in a season by Steph, the most threes by teammates, and many others. And even though they were part of great teams, and they had a lot of help from Durant, Draymond, and Iguodala, among others, the Splash Brothers were the engine of the Warriors, and the entire dynasty started because of their shooting dominance. But the number 1 spot is reserved for the most controversial, most talked about, and one of the most physically dominant duos of all time, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Shaq and Kobe shared the stage for 8 seasons, during which they made 5 NBA Finals and won 4 championships. But their legacy is far greater than just the championships. O'Neal joined the Lakers in 1996, the same year that Kobe got drafted. Over the next 3 years, there were plenty of growing pains, including Bryant's 4 air balls against Utah and a fistfight with Shaq. But after Phil Jackson took over, Shaq got into the best shape of his life and won one of the most dominant MVPs ever, just 1 vote shy of being the first unanimous MVP. That year, O'Neal also led the Lakers to a championship, continuing his dominance in the playoffs, averaging 30 points and 15 rebounds per game, while Kobe added 21 points and 4.5 assists. The most famous play in Lakers history happened that season, when Kobe and Shaq connected on an alley-oop to complete a comeback in Game 7 against the Blazers. In the 2001 season, the Lakers were unstoppable, winning all but 1 playoff game on their way to a second title, with Shaq and Kobe becoming arguably the best 1-2 punch in NBA history. Once again, the Big Diesel averaged 30 and 15 for the entire playoffs. Kobe wasn't far behind with 29.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. It was the most points by 2 teammates during a championship run. And in 2002, the dynamic duo led LA to a three-peat, after they survived the series against the Kings in the Western Conference Finals. And even though they still posted great individual seasons, the legend of Shaq and Kobe took an ugly turn, with beefs and insults filling up newspaper pages. In 2004, after a finals loss against Detroit, Shaq got traded to Miami, with controversy surrounding his breakup with Kobe. However, that only added to the mystique that made Shaq and Kobe the best duo in this century, and arguably the best of all time. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, we have another one for you right here.